Today we're going to talk about false breakdowns. The topic is quite interesting. Many people don't realize what it is. The abbreviation for false breakdowns is LP. A lot of people ask me, Dasha, what an LP is. So, today I'm going to explain what false breakdowns are, and why a major player makes them. And, accordingly, what types of false breakdowns there are. If you are on my channel, then accordingly you are learning about level trading. I mean on YouTube, TradingView, and Telegram, you are most likely studying level trading, and you are quite interested in it. Around the level we can have three situations. Let's say we're going to draw with you first, then we'll look at the graph. Here we have some certain level, and into the level we can have a bar touch. What is touching? This is when the instrument touches the level with its maximum or minimum. We may also have a level breakout. This is when the tool moves from one zone to another zone. That is, the level divides the plane into two zones. It is a charting zone under the level and above the level a longing zone. There are vendors working in the charted area. There are buyers working in the long zone. There may also be a firmware, some sort of pro trade on the level. Near the level there can be a pro trade consisting of several numbers of bars, either in the long zone or in the chart zone. And, accordingly, we may have a false breakdown of the level. This is when a bar breaks through a level and moves back to the opposite zone. So he goes from the chart zone to the long zone and then back to the transition. To the chart zone in this case, or from the long zone goes to the chart zone, and back goes to the long zone. So these are the types of false breakdowns we have after all. We get a false breakdown with one bar. What is a false breakdown with one bar? This is when the instrument flies up to the level rather sharply, let's say, on rather big bars, then it goes from the chart zone in this case to the long zone, and on the same day the instrument goes back under the level, leaving a false breakout with one bar. What is a false breakdown with two bars? This is when an instrument goes from one zone to another, then it closes with this bar, in this case in the long zone, or in the chart zone on the contrary, opens the next day in the same zone and goes back under the level. This is a daily chart, which means in this case I am showing you what it looks like on a daily chart. One day. What does it look like on the hourly? 1 hour. Well, for example, let's take the hourly, maybe any other time frame that is available intraday. The tool goes from one area to another. Let's say in this case we see some kind of breakout bar, and a major player starts to accumulate above the level, telling longists that it is consolidating in the long zone and is going to go further to the upside. Accordingly, it recruits more players, market participants, and then it goes from the long zone to the chart zone, and knocks out the stops of the longists, who were gaining their longs here, and put the stops behind the level. That is, if we have a false breakout with one bar, it will be much weaker. If there is a false breakout with two bars, it is much stronger. That is, a false breakout with two bars is strong, due to the fact that an additional position has been accumulated. We also have a false breakout with 3+ bars. This is when the instrument moves from the charting zone, in this case to the longing zone. Further, the next day we open and close in the long zone. We may have another day open-close in the long zone. That is, a large number of daily bars may be in the longing zone. And then the tool opens again in the same zone and closes in another zone. That is, here a major player was saving up even more positions. So you realize, yes, in this case a small position. And here we already have. The position is bigger, there's more here. That is knocking out the stops of many more players. And here we get a small pro trade, which, accordingly, ends with a reversal. And we're left with a complicated false breakdown. So, how to trade false breakdowns is a separate topic. Let's you and I take a look at how. It all looks on the chart. In this case, I take the chart of the coin flew from the children, and the exchange bib. It means look, you draw a level with the market simulator. I cut off like this. Here is the chart, and let's say, in this case, I see that here formed a certain level. Let that be the resistance level. Level 1.A1. Let's take a look at what's happening relative to that level. See, we have an instrument break this level, and the next day it closed, open, close, close, open. I mean, look, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 bars. Consolidated above the level, and then the instrument went back to the chart zone and knocked out the longists. Just these 2 days. So there was a complex false breakdown here. Let's put some support in place. From the support tool. Let's see with you now how the false breakout from the 1.40 level will do. So, let's flip through the simulator. Look, there's a bounce from the 1.81 level at the moment. Let's open the market simulator completely. We won't use it yet, just see if there was a false breakout relative to this level. Relative to this level, false breakdowns occurred on October 13, 2022, and October 21, 2022. So it was a false breakout by 1 bar. You see, little tails. Next, a false breakdown with 2 bars. Where can you and I observe it? Okay, now we're going to determine the level. Let's say we take the level from this bar. And relative to this bar, these 2 bars here show a false breakout by 2 bars. Why? Because on January 15th, the instrument closes above the level, opens above the level and goes down. That is, a false breakdown with 2 bars is already taking place here. It's fairly straightforward, but the most important thing is to keep an eye on how the tool will fit the level. If the instrument will approach the level fast enough, but it should be watched intraday, that is, for example, switch to the hourly. And see how it plays out on the Sentinel. Look, when we fly to the level, then, respectively, having found a strong level on the support or resistance chart, let's say, the level of a trend break, the level of some paranormal bar, it usually happens at the levels of a trend break, at some highs or lows, the instrument sharply flies to the level, makes a false positive and rolls back. Especially if the tool goes through quite a lot in a day, and for that you need to understand what the power reserve is. But today I just told you what false breakdowns are. I hope the information was helpful to you. Put likes, subscribe and go to my Telegram channel. Good luck to everyone, good mood, bye bye, bye bye.